Hello and welcome in everyone for a new edition of the Now We Know podcast. And it has been a while since we've had an edition of the podcast, and it's been even longer since I've been able to welcome back my longtime friend, toy industry designer, veteran, Mr. Kyle Wlodyga. Thanks so much for taking the time to come and chat with us.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here. Not what is this, third time? It's first time, long time. Is this fourth time, long time?
Yeah, probably something like that, right? I can't keep it straight.
Time flies when you're having fun talking about toys.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's always good to have you on to chat, and I feel like we've made some good timing on this, just because I think maybe now is the perfect time to really be able to just talk about what's good, because the times that we're in, the industry that we kind of surround ourselves in professionally and as a hobby is in flux. And a lot of things have happened, and I know that a lot of people, including yourself, have been impacted by this. But I guess first and foremost, how are you doing, man? I just mean on a personal level. I hope things are going as best as possible right now.
Yeah, all things considered, I think I'm doing pretty good, man. What's the quote from Fight Club? Like, you found me at a very strange time in my life. I think I'm doing it. I think I did that wrong, but
that's close.
Yeah. It's I was on the phone with unemployment today. That was fun, but got it all squared away. It's all good now. I got to. I think you have a little bit of experience with this, perhaps, but I not being unemployed, but I was on the phone with them for that long, for like half an hour of like being on hold or whatever, for essentially the guy to be like, "Have you tried doing it on a different browser?" I was like, "God damn it!" Of course.
The next question was going to be, have you unplugged it and plugged it back in?
Yeah. Is your router on? Yeah. I was like, and of course it worked, and it was all fine, and I'm all set up now. But I was like,
well,
to be fair, my first thought for when I'm having internet troubles is never, maybe I should try Microsoft Edge.
That's the solution for everything, right?
I know. Yeah, but if you want that unemployment money, you better go through Edge. Is what I'll learn. Your cautionary tale from Kyle here.
Well, that's appreciated, and I guess I will respond by saying is that I hope that's the biggest challenge in the current endeavor with that you're going to face.
I wish that kind of first world problem on for that to be the worst thing that anybody ever encounters.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, and I'm not surprised that you've received a lot of support, because I think it's something that at least the somewhat clear thinking people understand that this is something that is it's very personal and specific, but it's an issue that is very wide ranging, and just unknown and unpredictable right now. And unfortunately, this is the real human. I don't want to say cost, because that sounds extremely dramatic, but this is the real reality of how it impacts real people in real lives, right?
Yeah, or the human toll, which I guess is another word for cost or whatever. But it was all of that said. I like I was talking to you in the backstage or whatever. Like, I am very grateful to everybody who has messaged me, everybody who's reached out, who said, "Hey, sorry this happened to you," or "Hey, your work really impacted me," or most of it is like, "Hey, these 2003 turtles are bitching," which is it. So I will take those kinds of messages all day long.
Well, that's awesome, because I think that out of a less than ideal situation, it does often bring things to the forefront that maybe wouldn't happen under normal circumstances. And I'm positive that it's extremely, gratifying, touching, all of those things to receive messages like that, because it it puts a real human touch on, the work that you do too. And I know that for so many people, like yourself, this is your professional industry. And for a lot of people, though, on the other side of it, it's their hobby and it's the things that they love. And I think you need both sides of it in order to keep things balanced. But to understand that you can, relate to someone or affect someone via something that they really love and spend their free time on I think that's pretty great, man. So congratulations on that part for sure.
Be impacted in that regard, because I mean it's very, sometimes it's pretty difficult to know like if anything is going to land, because this is where I worked, this is where I did it for 4 or 5 years, and you're just kind of in this hole with the lights turned down low, grinding, doing the stuff, and like, man, I hope somebody likes this or whatever. And then to have that kind of outpouring is very moving and very cool.
Yeah, well,
I'm very grateful to the community.
Well, that's fantastic. And like you said, we were kind of talking before. At the risk of falling into cliche, it's like, those things obviously don't go unnoticed, and they do go appreciated. So that makes me hopeful, but also I think staying very much in touch with reality that this is going to be a an epilogue to one thing and a prelude to the next thing that is going to come along. And when you have experience and talent and you've impacted an industry like that, it may take time for things to even out or settle down or have some uncertainties, at least diminish somewhat. But I'm positive there's going to be big and cool things for you as we move along.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And I've always been grateful to you for your friendship and all that kind of stuff with all this, and just good times, bad times. It's the friends are the ones who show up for you.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. I think the hardest part is just like, that chapter is like, we're in the, there's a new chapter which is exciting, but it was like, that chapter was pretty juicy. There was a lot of cool stuff I got to do in that chapter. I'm kind of a little bummed it's over, but that's okay. If anything, all of that, I'm incredibly grateful for the time that I had, the opportunities that I got. My time there made me the designer that I kind of am today. I wouldn't have ever gotten to do anything for Ghost or Godzilla or Turtles or anything like that without them. And I just got very lucky, right place, right time. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say like I'm special in any way. It really was just like there was an opportunity and I walked through the door. So, and at the time when I joined, it was one of the harder decisions I ever had to make. If you, ever get Flynn or Josh back on here and you talk to them, they'll say like, we didn't think he was going to take it. We really talked to him for like 3 months about coming on. Because I was going to have to move like 400 miles across the state to go and do it. And it was a big deal. And it was very hard at the time. But all things considered, even with the ending to the chapter that it got, I would do it all again. So,
well, I think that speaks, a lot about you and your skills and passion for the work that you do. I think it also, it has to do with where you've been to and the people that you get an opportunity to work with, because that's what I think keeps people going and staying and motivated in the positions that they're in. So to be a wily veteran for that long, I think that says a lot about both of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I don't want to say in like a selfish interest, because I think this leads to good conversation for both of us. It's that you and I get to kind of talk as fans and friends a lot, in person or not behind the microphone, because I think when you and I get a chance to chat, typically in situations like this, there's a little bit of an expectation that we, get into the business side of it and keep it, relevant with a lot of things that are going on. But I'm actually glad that we kind of get to talk a little bit from just a fan perspective as well. So talking about some of those things, I'm looking forward to doing. But I have to hang on just a little bit because you mentioned them before. That the 2003 TMNT Ultimates are new in everyone's hands. In fact, they're new enough that they have not shipped from my pile of loot yet. So I'm going to have to rely on you. But I did want to take some time to look at these and talk about these because there's a lot about this from style, build, articulation that were new beginnings for Turtles in kind of that arena. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the side of it of from the start of development all the way through the production of them, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was definitely a long time coming. I remember this was back, like 2022. I mean, our good friend Augie was working with me at the time, and and I had told him, like, because you're just chatting like you and I do, and he was like, oh, like, I obviously, like, I love the animated series or whatever. Like, what was like your entry point? Because we had just gotten like a packet from the Nickelodeon that said, like, it had all this market research, which was great. That was showing like demographic information of like where people enter the Turtles fandom. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm like right here. And it was like, oh, 3 Turtles. He was like, oh my gosh, no way. Like, I love that show. Like, it's so good. And I was like, yeah, like that was my Turtles. Like, cause the, 88 or whatever, the original show, like, was kind of off the air by the time I started watching TV. I was, Power Rangers kid. So it was really like focused on that. And my actual first introduction to the Turtles was at the Walt Disney World live show.
Wow.
If anybody remembers that, just the crazy, like, crossing the streams of licensing that there was Ninja Turtles at a Disney World live show thing with like a live action April and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how I met them the first time. And I got them to like sign my autograph book, and it was super cool. And then it kind of went away for a minute because there wasn't a show. There wasn't really, like, there was toys, but it wasn't as big as Power Rangers, or Gargoyles were really huge for me too.
Yeah.
But then 2003 comes along and there's this show, and it's like very serious, and like people die, and they're, people get injured, and it's like there's stakes and all this stuff, and the animation is cool, and it has a very like relic of its time intro song, where, like, back then, like, those songs like to really like scream at you, like yell at you. Anybody who knows the 03 theme song will, like, you can hear it, like, no one hears it quietly in their head. It's like it's cranked to 11. It's so loud. So same with like Power Rangers Time Force, like that opens with them just yelling Time Force at you really loud, and it's like, again, relic of the time. But it was cool, and it really resonated with me because it was like, it was edgier, it was whatever. And so, like, I was 13 and, like, discovered 9 Inch Nails for the first time or whatever. So I was like, yeah, 2003 Ninja Turtles, like, Shredder kills people, like, yeah. So and so I was like, yeah, we should totally do 2003 because there's never been like good figures of that since the original line. Right. And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be so cool. And so, like, we kind of brought up a pitch, and they're like, and we had mentioned it before, and the famous line would be like, you bring something up that they didn't like, but like, yeah, that could be a thing, which usually meant like, absolutely not, that's never going to happen. Yeah. But then there was an opportunity for the 40th anniversary of Turtles, where Nickelodeon came to Super 7 and was basically like, hey, like, we put this aside for you, we think there's a great opportunity here. And I was like, yes, 100% yes, let's do this, let's go. And I think Augie was around for that too, and he was like, yes, let's do it, let's go. And I think there had been some like discussions about what the future of the line looks like, and so they were like, yeah, let's try it, let's see what happens. And I'm very grateful for the time that I got to be on it and doing it, because I know that Flynn and Josh really did just trust me with it, which was very cool, because, truth be told, it wasn't their Ninja Turtles. Like, that's not what they grew up with. They grew up on the original toys or the cartoon or whatever, but like 03, like, I think Flynn had kids by 03 or something like that. It was like, it was already he was already off doing other stuff. Like Super 7 existed by 2003, which usually is not an indication that they're going to make toys of that. And so they really just were like, yeah, man, like, like make it happen. It's gonna be cool. And so, and at the time we started getting more information from Nickelodeon and other sales partners of like, oh, we think, because remember the Playmates line is like, oh, we're, you one turtle per wave, you can kind of build it out. And they were like, no, we think this, like, you got to do all 4 brothers at once. We think this is how this works. And so we tried that out too. Worked out great. It was sold really well. So well that it justified the second wave, which was awesome. But a big part of my push was, whether people choose to believe this or not, I've seen some like contention on, the thought process here. Whatever. This is
all the experts out there and internet.
As Dennis says, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. So the articulation needed, like, I felt that it needed to be updated for a long time, but I also felt that like modern collectors, like the people who grew up watching 2003 Turtles, like have different articulation standards than, guys who collected Kenner or Motu or what have you. Like which had simpler articulation schemes. Whereas like if you're starting at 03, like you're in the Toy Biz era already, like of toy and toy development. Yeah. And like it's only gone up from there. And there's there's some double joints in Toy Biz. I'm sure somebody's writing a thing, but like there are double joints.
By 2003, Marvel Legends was already in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was collecting Marvel Legends. I started in like 2005, 2006. But yeah, so I was like, okay, so like these modern collectors, like there is no connection to the vintage 3.75, just pure swivel joints, whatever. And so like the standard Ultimates, like single joint, whatever, like that's not going to cut it for these guys. Like we have to like really push it. They need to be able to hit the ninja poses, do all the stuff. So like we got to do double joints, and God bless them. They were like, let's try it. Let's do it. Yeah. Which is super cool, and I think it worked out really well. I mean, just look at the bend on the arm there for Donnie, and like the knees, and for Raph. And
you mentioned that because 2003 was not my entry into Turtles either, but the approach to the articulation also kind of matches, though, people who may have been about my age who in 2003, it definitely wasn't my gateway into Turtles, but you're a little bit older and mature and you go back because like the Mirage comics, that was before my time. But by then I had gone back and discovered those and found a real appreciation for it. And the thing that struck me about the 2003 show when I started watching it was that it did a really good job, and you talked about it in some context, of balancing kind of the spirit of this is still a cartoon and it is still meant for, a younger demographic, but it had some grit to it. And not only the storytelling that borrowed a lot from the like early Turtle stories, but also in just the design of the Turtles. I feel that the 2003 TMNT designs are still some of the strongest ever because they did do this really crazy blend of the original Mirage, the 87 a little bit show, the original toy line, and then kind of spun it all into its own thing and made it very distinct in and of itself. But you can see, the different things that were pulled from it. So as an older, Turtles fan, or a mid Turtles fan as far as like age goes, because I'm not a Turtles elder for sure because I wasn't there from the very beginning. But I think you find an appreciation for that, and for a lot of people that can be a hard sell if it's not what they were brought in on. But most of the people that I talk to, it's pretty universal that says, that show wasn't on until I was an adult, but that's a awesome freaking show. So I think a lot of the things that you talked about, just because of the timing, the tone, the style, everything, it just kind of matched up well for what you were approaching this with, right?
Yeah, and it went forever. That's the thing people forget. They call it 03 Turtles, but I think the last thing it debuted was like in 2008.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty long run for a Turtles show, I think.
Yeah. I mean, well, and with the 2012 show, they really started planning it so that there was, quote unquote, no break in between like the next iteration and show. But that was like a short, I mean, You're right. That show lasted a lot closer to when 2012 started than I think a lot of people remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like one show closed down. There was probably a year of nothing happening with Turtles, and then they probably started developing it after that.
Yeah.
So.
And the storyline, the a lot of the character, the original character designs and things like that you're bringing out in these two series, they do lend themselves to having that dynamic articulation scheme. And for someone who the 3.75, that was a little before me, but the Masters of the Universe style and whatnot was right in my childhood. It's just, but I grew up into, I got to have the articulation and stuff too.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I'm hoping this is a starting point for things like that, and if it is, what a great springboard they are.
Yeah, I would hope so. Certainly the second wave, which I had the chance to work on as well with Shredder and Casey and Splinter and Foot Soldier, all, take what worked here and improve upon it as well. Because I think that even some people have pointed out that, the pads do get in the way a little bit. We did our best to like reduce. If you look at the straps, they're like razor thin. We did our best to like reduce those as much as possible. But guys like literally every character in that second wave, none of them have pads.
Yeah.
So that range is going to be even better,
And just the fact that you're right, they don't have pads. They're more straight up humanoid designs. Helps because not only because they don't have giant shells or whatever, but I believe this, if it's subconscious or whatever, when it comes to sculpting and designing action figures, it's like humans know themselves best. And so those joints are designed for humans really well. And yeah, you make adjustments and things work well for other types of like turtle designs and whatnot, but it really is going to have a chance to flourish in those more humanoid designs.
Yeah. I think you're right. It's so weird. We was watching a TikTok of turtles fighting because my girl and I watch TikToks or whatever together. Be as bad as that may. And they're watching a picture of like this like video of these like turtles fighting or whatever, and I was like, oh man, like what a wild design to like, let's just make them humans that like are wearing like a turtle costume, which I'm sure is for ease of drawing and anatomy and like quick stuff, because like you said, like humans have that reference point of themselves always. But if you had to draw the like, I don't know, Eastman and Laird can do no wrong. They could draw anything they want. They can do anything literally. But like those original Eastman and Laird turtles, like, yeah, I'm glad that you like made them a little bit more like human looking.
Yeah.
So that said, these are like, yeah, they're turtles, but they still, they're still more or less like human anatomy in here.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to make any excuses and be like, but it's turtle anatomy. I don't know turtle anatomy. Like they're humans. It's this was the first time ever that double joints ever happened in Super 7. So there was some like debugging that had to happen and some working through and some collaboration and learning from those mistakes. And I hope that when people get Wave 2, they'll see those improvements. So
yeah. Well, and I, like I said, I feel foolish that I'm like, oh, I got to make the most of that $4.99 shipping from Big Bad Toy Store. It's like I'm waiting on a few things to hit in the next few weeks before shipping my next one. But it gives me a chance to like enjoy them and take them on their own terms, because a lot of times when something's brand new and you get it in your hands, it's like you got to get it out there and get through it. And I found that it's given me a chance to kind of enjoy things a little bit more. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But it's going out with a bang, man. I hate to like I hate to like downplay the seriousness of it, because that's not what I'm doing. But man, it's getting to go on a high note. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to be remembered for these, and not Sexy Rat King or whatever. So.
Hey, Sexy Rat King turned out great, man.
I know.
Well. Then let me ask you this, since we can reminisce a little bit about it.
Sure.
I'm gonna kind of put those 2003 Turtles like kind of on their own level here for you. Yeah. But if we're gonna talk about the Turtles line as a whole for the things that you got to work on, if you had to pick your child, which one would it be? Not the 2003 Turtles notwithstanding.
Okay, but I have to pick one. That's I did 11 waves, Nick.
I was gonna say I think the average is still 2.3 kids, so maybe you go up to 3.
I'll give you 3. Easily.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
So only because I already did this with somebody else, so it's easy for me to recall.
Okay.
The Wingnut and Screw Loose, I think it is up there for me.
Yeah.
Just because the Batman adjacent stuff that I got to do with it was super cool. Mm-hmm. And it's the closest I ever got to do Batman stuff until the Batmobile stuff actually started coming out.
Yeah.
So hit the Wingnut and Screw Loose. I love the white eyes and I remember we were working with the solicitation renders, love them or hate them. They had to get made somehow, And so the art director who works on those, her name's Allie Whalen. She's amazing. She's really, really cool. She would always message me and be like, "Hey, do you have any inspiration ideas or poses that you want to do for the render or whatever?" And I sent, I think it's a Gil Kane or maybe a Bob Kane or something like that, but it's the image of Batman and Robin in the spotlight, doing this with their capes or whatever. And I was like, just do this, but Wingnut and Screw Loose. And it pops up if you Google Super 7 Wingnut, and it's still one of my favorite things that we ever did for solicitation. That was always really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not normally that proud of the solicitation vendors because I just kind of say, hey, do something like this. Yeah. But that one was worked out exactly how I envisioned it. So it was
that's
really
the sizzle to sell though, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. So.
Yeah. You gotta know the audience. You gotta know you gotta know where to wink and where to nudge. Right?
Yeah. You gotta know where to wing nut and screw loose. I don't think that sounds right.
Maybe not that. Then obviously the Gorilla was such a cool exercise in there's never been a toy of this guy. Make up whatever you want, have fun doing whatever. Yeah, it was really cool. And if you can believe it, the way that I used to design was I would work with 4 horsemen. They had a concept artist who would do some stuff. Then I would give them some feedback or oh, can we try this? Or I would add little things or whatever and try that stuff. And so they did the Wingnut thing, but then I was like, oh, let's do the Batman head and a couple other things. And so they did that, which is great. But then for whatever reason, I ended up doing the Gorilla all by myself for the most part. And so I really just got to go ham and just do whatever. And we used to draw a bunch of stuff and then cut accessories that we think are too expensive or too much or too out of left field or whatever. So I mean, there's a whole world of what Blake's volume 17 of Toys That Time Forgot. That's all the lost turtle accessory concepts.
Yeah.
But if you can believe it, we cut out a bunch of stuff from the Gorilla. And if anybody who has seen the lowdown on Gorilla knows that he essentially
you can't sell an individually you can't sell an individually carded toy that weighs 47 pounds, sir.
I know. Yeah. I always say that you could when you hold the Gorilla, you can feel the volume of weight that was taken out of the ozone layer to make it it's so much plastic.
He's one of those. I refer to them as nightstand figures because it's if somebody breaks into your house and you're in the middle of the night, boom, you win that one. So
you might get assault with a deadly weapon for that though. But there was some really fun stuff in there. I originally wanted him to come with the Larry the Lemur, and you were gonna be able to take his head off and put it in the cannon so you could shoot the lemur and that kind of stuff. So stuff like that was a bridge too far, but let's include 87 bananas and 4 actual toddler-sized hands, and I think it's 10. He comes with 10 hands, which is great.
Jeez, bazookas, coconuts, badass aviators, and
aviators. That was the other thing is I got to think of the puns like crazy on that one. So it's his Banandalier and his aviators, and
that's like reading the back of an old
monkey machine
vintage
gun.
Playmates. Yeah, that's a vintage Playmates file card on the back of the old figures. Right,
that was
there,
the inspiration. Was just looking at the puns that they have and all that stuff. Yeah. So shout out to TMNTtoys.com. That is just that virtual museums where I can look at all the cards and see the alliteration and pun style that helped inspire mediocrity like aviators. So.
We'll always have aviators. That's
right.
Great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Or the Banandalier. But
yeah.
And then third, I don't know. It's really hard. It's probably a tie, honestly, and it's only a tie because it is a Leonardo. So I don't want to admit that I had fun doing a Leonardo figure, but the Ninja Nomad Leonardo was really cool in that for that figure, the exercise was to like create like a whole new set of turtles that felt Playmates inspired. Mm-hmm. So to make him, I designed all 4 at once. And so there's a whole team of them that is done. Yeah. Or the concept is done. So whatever. Right. It would take an immense amount of work to actually get them out. It's not like they're just sitting on a boat somewhere. It's the idea is there.
Right.
And Leo is the one that made it forward with the plan to eventually go and do all of them. I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't work there anymore. It's not really my problem anymore. I hope it does, because it's really cool. Yeah. But being able to the exercise of designing a whole set of brothers that families together works together was really, really cool. That was a fun exercise, because you usually, when we're doing most of the line, it's like, oh, like here's this vintage one, do this but update it. But then when it's a true like blue sky, here's a blank turtle body, like do whatever, like that kind of opportunity is immensely rare and so cool and so precious, and I'm very grateful that I got to do that. So
well, and that's fantastic, because I think what you're speaking to is something that was really starting to click for me with the line. And obviously, the pivot to the 2003 is great, because they're such great figures and designs that deserve to be celebrated in that way. But there was a little bit of time in there where it was really hitting on doing those vintage updates that I do admittedly absolutely love, but also bringing in characters who have never had a figure or have never had a figure in kind of that style, which is really fun. And then also new concept that is fresh but familiar in a way, like you were talking about. And that was just like that was just kind of like a short stint of like 2 or 3 waves of the line, where it was like, man, there's a lot going on here, but it's all a lot of fun. So
and that's I think that's the ultimate thing that I got out of it, and that I hope people do get out of it, is that we were having fun making it. It was amazing. There, I worked on so many lines, but the one that got the farthest, and the one that I definitely can immediately only recall the fun stuff is all the turtles. So,
and I mean, that says something about the line that you were making, and it says something about Ninja Turtles as well, because I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm the only person on the planet who doesn't have the Ninja Turtles license to do something at this point.
You can probably get it pretty easily, I think. It's not that hard now.
To be able to have a long-lasting and prolific line in the face of turtles coming from every direction, too, that says a lot about things, too. So.
But all of that is to say, like, I'm one guy who got to be very much a part of this larger thing, this larger machine. None of it is possible without Super 7, Flynn, and Josh, and sales and licensing, and it's nobody makes toys alone. It's a whole group team effort. I just have the benefit and honor and pleasure of being your friend and talking to you on your platform, but there's other people who not only, like, some of them were affected by the economic impacts of the current administration and stuff, but also there's people who are still there, who are working tirelessly working, fighting the good fight to keep stuff going at Super 7, who are working to make sure that the 2003 Wave 2 comes out and other things as well. And, you know, I realize that there's maybe a bit of vitriol going on around, you know, what's happening there, but I don't want anybody to do that, at least not on my behalf. I wish them I want them to succeed. I wish them all the best. Like, don't be mad for me. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. There's still so many good people who work there who care just as much about the toys, maybe even more so than I do sometimes. And they deserve your support just as much as I did when I was there as well. So, well,
that's a wonderful, you know, approach to take. And I think it is like, I think it's the one that it's got to be that way because, you know, I mean, nobody at I would say, I can't say, I'm not going to say nobody because there's somebody, but
yeah,
I would say the majority of people who are currently being impacted in that one way, another way, or whatever, this is all an outside piece that was not needed, and it upended things in different ways and to different degrees with a lot of people. And it's just I'm hoping, I'm with you. I'm hoping for the best for everyone who has been impacted from it. So hopefully that right soon, sooner than later. But we'll have to see. But that's reality. And we've gotten to talk about it. But, you know, talking about the cool stuff that you've had the opportunity to work on and the things that you've enjoyed working on, you're one of those people within the industry, though, who not only work on toys, but, you know, you were brought up on toys and you're a fan of toys, and things like that. And I know that in the past, we hadn't really been able to focus a lot on talking about, hey, as a fan, you know, what's still going on or what's happening at present that, you know, is appealing to you and that's exciting to you. So, I mean, maybe it's the latest thing you've gotten, maybe it's the latest thing that you've seen or whatever. What's really, you know, caught your eye recently?
You know, I mean, there obviously today is Thursday or something. So like we could talk about it after we get into this, but there's like the Marvel stuff that just came out. The Dan and Dwight, our homies, just did a great stream, which is incredible. I'm excited for a lot of that stuff. But you know, I had a friend who's in the Godzilla collecting community send me an early birthday gift, which is this is the Haya Toys Shimo, which is legendary creation, the like ice dragon from Godzilla, the Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. It's really impressive, like really good articulation. You can do just about anything. Like she's got articulated fingers on her hands and stuff, which is crazy. Hinge jaw, all that stuff. She can do like a standing pose too, as well, which is like cool. And the thing that's really impressive, and anybody who has this like can attest to it, but like the paint job in this thing is insane. And I realize it's going to be a little difficult to capture on camera here, but there's an iridescence to the entire thing. So like her skin,
I can see it on the spine, but the skin, that's hard to catch.
So the skin is like a pearl white, so it like catches weird kind of different colors. Cool. There's like grains and stuff into it, and so it looks iridescent there. But then the spines are like purple and blue and pink, and it all is very, very impressive. And for a pretty decent price too. I'm not exactly sure how much she was because it was a gift, but typically Haya Godzilla toys are like $50-$60. The most expensive I've seen is like $100, and even so, like $100 for this is like pretty gnarly for something. Like think about all this new tooling,
right?
So
and the unique tooling.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's not a lot of recolors you can do of Shimo. She doesn't get frozen or anything like that. So that was really cool. And then on the more cheeky, kitschy, knick-knacky side, one of my dear friends who I've known for 20 years at this point, for my birthday, he got me this is very far out of left field, but when you see it, you'll also know what I'm talking about. He got me these like heavy metal ducks.
That's awesome.
So this is Papa 4.
Yeah.
And he's in his like blue jacket or whatever. And he's got the face paint, which is great. My favorite part, and if anybody knows Ghost, and I'm sorry if this demonetizes us, but on the inside of Papa's jacket, he usually has like a little hidden message for people when the jacket flies open, and you can read the message. They put it on there. I don't know if you can read it. It says duck you.
Duck you. Okay, you know what? I almost said duck you because I said it looks like duck, but it also kind of looks like body.
It says duck you, which is the like the it works on so many levels because obviously it's ducks.
Yeah.
But then it's also the autocorrect version that Siri likes to make it be for you when you're in a heated argument.
Yeah, and it makes me ducking mad when I get corrected like that.
Yeah. Makes me go quackers. But then he also got me the Lemmy as well, which is just so good, so dumb. There's a lot, like you could tell that
whiskey bottle in tow.
Yeah. So this is by a place called Numbskull Designs. I guess they're called Tubs, this is all new to me. But you can tell that they're just having fun with it because like it's a duck, but it's also Lemmy. But then like they also change a lot of the little things to be duck related. Yeah. So like everything that's a skull on him normally is a duck. So like the hat, like his pins, his necklace, his like tattoos. Like there's a little duck patch on there. Like you can tell that they're just like turning into the skid a little bit, you know?
Well, even from, an outsider layman's point of view, I mean, that to me is absolutely making the best and doing the best from a design standpoint with the little niche that you are in. Because to your point, I do not own any of those, but I am a big Jaws guy, and they recently solicited
the Jaws one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have those on order. So
I bet you do.
Seeing those,
they're nice.
And the quality and the thought put into it. It's like, because as I was ordering it, I was like, man, is this a bridge too far with my fandom here? I'm ordering ducks. But seeing this now, it's like, you know what? That's pretty awesome. So I'm glad that I did that.
I truly hope that they're the next people to get a Turtles license because I would for sure buy an ace duck in this style. Yeah. 100%.
They do the opposite with him though, and they like turn him like looking like a human instead.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. And then last but certainly not least, there's an Aussie one, which is the best. The best part about this one is it's not going to come up in the camera that much, but the bat that he's got.
Yep.
Its little face is so scared. It's like really concerned. It's like, oh, duck, I'm going to get eaten.
Well, if you ever make it down to San Antonio, where I used to live, you got to take that one with you. So
I maybe we'll see. My cousin used to live out there and would go to the bat thing with the bridge and all that stuff. I don't think my girl would let me come back into the house if I like actively went and sought out bats. The thing that caused a lot of problems about 5 years ago for everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And it's funny because you did mention the Marvel Legends thing. It's crazy because we've talked about it a little bit, and being able to call out that Marvel Legends has been around since before 2003. It's like that really hits home with me that it's like I've been collecting Marvel Legends before they were Marvel Legends, like back in the old Spider-Man Classics days. So I mean, this is a line that I've been with for over a quarter of a century, and I've been very active collecting it in at times, and sometimes pick and choose. And I'm kind of in that place right now where I'm like really refining what I collect and doing more with less, because there's a certain iconography and a timeline that I'm wanting to stick to for the most part. But that said, my favorite Marvel team is the Fantastic Four, so I'm buying a full wave of Marvel Legends for the first time in a while.
They got you
with
again.
The movie figures, but then also there is just something about the crispy, clean, like just slight changes in the updates to those video game figures. And I'm on such a Jada Toys high right now that it's like, I can't believe that maybe I'm going to buy every single thing that they showed today in that live stream. And that has not happened for any toy line basically in a long time for me. So
yeah,
that's wild.
I totally feel you. I have I'm not making this about me or being sad, but since the layoff, I have not looked at anything and been like, man, I wish I had a job until today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, look at all of this expensive plastic. Like, I mean, because I was just trying to like calculate it. I was like, oh, this is easily $300 worth of Legends on screen right now, and I sort of want all of it. So.
Yeah. I was looking at it. It's like, man, you know, it's something when they can do something that's gamerverse.
Yeah.
And those are really, I think, inspired by gamerverse instead of being like straight up versions of them, because they're not pixelated or anything like that, you know. And it's like,
I think they wouldn't need to do that. I think there's that concept art they can work off of.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's like, oh, well, that's the best damn Psylocke figure that's probably ever been made as far as that goes. And then I forget what they call, but it's like freaking Shumagora.
I know, insane. What I like though, and what I like to see as a designer and somebody on the other side of it, is that I like to see the innovations of one team being shared across other teams. Mm-hmm. in Hasbro, in whoever, wherever I can see it. I don't know if anybody has it, but I do. Let me go grab it because I want to show you. This is important for the point. Trust me.
Yeah. No. I got you.
So this guy, I think
I got that figure on deep discount.
yeah. I paid full price, but whatever. Doesn't matter. This guy, does that eyeball tech look familiar to you at all?
Yeah, there you go.
So I love that they are like, you know, figuring out stuff that like, and they're not just like, oh, that's proprietary. Like whatever. It's like, if it works for one brand, it's probably going to work for another.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's brilliant. And so I really like to see that kind of like shared innovation with, you know, just with a company in general, but going across lines. Cause you know, I think, you know, I love the articulation you can get out of that eyeball on, or Gargantos or whatever his name is now.
Whatever they call it. Yeah.
Like that zesty pose where he's doing exactly what you're doing, crossing arms. Like that is like insane. And like that all comes from like being able to do that with the eyeball, you know?
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I think that's reflected too, because it feels like, you know, just using them as the example as well. It's like, I keep seeing like a definite, like, playful one-up with accessory innovation and effects innovation, because I mean, I just over, I mean, if we're just going to talk about Marvel Legends over the course of a Marvel Legends line, I can't even tell you how many flippin' Wolverines I own. And now that one, it's like, it's a great looking figure, but god damn, those accessories and those effects are so freaking cool.
I know, they're super cool. And the cowl is great, and the longer claws is all correct and accurate. And I see and I hear the complaints about single jointed arms on him. Those double joints on those giant biceps never really worked all that well anyways, or any better than a single joint anyway. So if there's a way to do it effectively and have, you know, the same range and it looks good, like, do we care? I feel like once it's in hand, but everybody's going to be just so excited to have a Berserker Barrage in hand that they're not even going to notice that.
Berserker Barrage.
Yeah, exactly. So, personal note, I cannot wait for Blue Venom. Like there was so so I played a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom at like my cousin's house or whatever. Like my connection to that version is not because of the game. It's because we're going way back to like MySpace days where you like learned how to do programming into your own MySpace. You can put stuff in there. Like for a long time, my avatar was the like blue Venom or whatever.
Like,
and like
the sprite.
Yeah, the sprite of it. Just or like, all right, put it in. And so like that whole set of blue Venom sprites, all that stuff is like so burned into my eyeballs that it's like, okay, I have to have that one, you know?
Yeah. So well, you know, it's all of a sudden now I'm gonna have Marvel Legends figures invading my, you know, Capcom displays too. So it's like just bringing it all together, and it's fresh. I think it's a good time for it, because like I said, as far as my like main Marvel Legends display goes, it's like I want that classic iconography of like characters and those that mean something to me, but it's also fun because they've done artist specific figures, they've run the gamut with so many things, but getting that, because those games were really out at a time where, like, if you think back to when those games were really hitting, it's like Marvel's prevalence was cartoons at best at that time. And it's like those really became how a lot of people were introduced to those characters through those games. So I think it's an important like era or iteration or whatever you want to call it, to celebrate this way too, because like I said, I know a lot of people that came into Marvel characters because of those games.
Yeah, for sure. And what's crazy about this program, which first of all, we should acknowledge how absolutely crazy it is to have this big of a program based around Marvel. I noticed, at least as far as I got on the stream, I noticed that they didn't actually say Marvel versus Capcom. They just because you can't. I get it, all that stuff. But to have a whole program based around this one video game, and it's like, make no mistake, it's 30 years old, but it's a whole program. Like, they're like our buddy Mike at the Figure Report. I did a live stream today, and he pointed it out that, because he's a huge Marvel vs. Capcom fan, he pointed out, and I didn't realize this, there's 26 characters on each side from Marvel and from Capcom. They did 12 in this. Well, to knock out almost half the roster in like one wave is insane.
Well, and that's the thing, because I didn't spend a whole lot of time online today, but I have to say that every single thing was, holy crap, this is amazing. Yeah. Then it was like, now blah 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 blah. Give me him and her. It's like, not only is it selling itself, but I mean, it's built the hype already for the continuation of it. So
exactly. Yeah. You thought people could be annoying trying to get the completed, X-Force or whatever. Like, now it's we give it a whole roster of Capcom or whatever. So not annoying, passionate. That's the word we're gonna use.
Passionate.
But yeah, it's crazy, and it's I think to us it feels like such a sure thing, but I mean, you and I both sort of know the business a little bit. Like, I think that people in the boardrooms would imagine that can envision this being a huge risk, like not a sure thing whatsoever at all. Like, obviously it's just like, yeah, of course you should make an updated site. Like, you have to, like, that's not how some of these guys think. And so to like really take the chance to like bet the bet and like do the thing, as the internet says, like, should be commended to not only to Dwight and to Dan, to Ryan, to Jesse, but to all the other people who are unsung, who, are working on the figures, who are, choosing to pay for the figures, to produce the figures, who are taking the chance, because I think it's huge. I think it's going to pay off for them really, really well. And I'm sure they have market research and all that stuff. And they made the safe bet, but it is still like a chance, especially in how like tumultuous everything is right now with the economy and terror and all that stuff. Like, to bet big on a 30-year-old program technically is crazy. And I think they should be commended.
Well, and I think it speaks to the fact that, as well as that, even though it is celebrated for what it is, and the game and all of that, that doesn't make it so that they approach it in a lazy way. Because as we just said, okay, you can have the concept, but the figures had better knock it out of the park too. And it's like, man, some of the figures that they showed off, it's like, this is the best version of some of these characters that we've probably ever gotten.
I know. I was thinking about it now, because I have no job, whatever, doesn't matter. Probably people are going to be sick of hearing saying that, but like, today I was looking and I was like, I don't need this. I have these guys. And I was like looking at it again. I was like, yeah, I do, because they've updated everything, like all like that. And that's the thing, is like they've been slowly, incrementally like improving face painting. They've been improving deco. They've been improving like their injection plans and like, what parts are painted, what parts are not, and they're planning that stuff out better so that you don't get like the weird red, pins and that kind of stuff. And that's part of that's debugging. That's design. That's part of it. There's no way to like get around that, but like that's the thing that's it's so beautiful, but it's also so frustrating about the line is that now it's like anytime there's a new version of that character, like it's not always necessarily true in real life, but like new does mean best almost. Certainly in some of the Marvel Legend terms, I think.
Well, and as far as like a lot of the Marvel Legend stuff goes, to your point, it's that for my money at this time, I think they are doing the absolute best work when it comes to the face printing than anybody is doing now, because
it's incredible.
Some of those new figures, it's almost damn scary. How good they are, and it's like they hold up. They're starting to hold up just as strong under the macro lens, because that was the big thing. When it was really starting with like Bandai and some of the other companies, it's like right here, holy shit, that's amazing. Right here, it's like, oh, okay, now I can see.
It becomes Picasso and
yeah, exactly. But now it's getting to the point, especially with some of those legends, is that it's like you can have the loop out and looking at it, it's like, holy shit, this still looks great. There.
And that all just comes with time and technology and improvement and stuff. It's fascinating how all that stuff works. So it's really cool, and I think they should be commended for like pushing themselves to innovate each time. And Dwight always says it in interviews, and I for the most part agree. Like for the money, like the best value typically is Marvel Legends, because they always push to like put the most value into it for $20, like $30 figure now. Like, what you're getting is usually pretty incredible. And are there shared parts? Sure. Are there QC issues? Sure. It's an action figure line that is completely inevitable. There is no way to get around that. But I do think that for the money, they are the leaders. They're the ones to beat for sure.
Well, and that just makes, the situation that we're currently in even like more upsetting, I guess is what I'll say, because we're talking about Marvel Legends and Hasbro, but even, you spread it out to places like a lot of the work that Mattel is doing.
Incredible.
Right now, NECA, some of these other companies, we are still very much in a place where from a design quality, just pushing the edge of innovation and whatnot, we are still so much in this golden age of this industry, hobby, however it's affecting to you, that it's like it needs to be able to keep going. And
I agree,
being successful.
I think all of that comes from I always say it, the inmates running the asylum, the people who grew up truly caring about these toys are now the ones making it. You're 100% right.
And it's funny because, when that like permeation of those who grew up with the toys started, making them, there was this time in there where that was still a little bit in flux, because the passion was there and the knowledge of the character and like this and that was there. But there was kind of a dip in like the strength of design and innovation from a design standpoint, because I mean, back in the day it was literal designers. But now, to your point where we're at, it's like those things have caught up and like evened out, and it's like, yes, these are people who grew up with toys, but they're also awesome freaking designers, because they've got to be in this time now. And so like I said, we have to appreciate what is going on right now, and it has to be able to continue and survive and keep going, because it's too good not to. For all of the uncertainty that everybody's feeling or whatever, I do think it is going to continue. In what way? I don't know. I do think that there's enough passion, there's enough drive, there's enough demand that will it shrink? Sure. Sine and cosine waves are a natural phenomenon for a reason. Right now we might be on the downward thing, but there's the saying of what goes up must come down, but what is down will also come back up eventually. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's it might change a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna go away. I think
it'll go through phases, it'll dwindle or whatever, but like the people who are truly passionate about that stuff won't stop doing it. And I mean, you and I are pretty up there in terms of passion. I don't plan on stopping this anytime soon. I don't imagine you do either. So,
and that's what I was going to say. I mean, even if I have to address it from like a selfish standpoint, there's too much cool shit that I like to collect. And there's too many cool people who I'm friends with who make this cool shit that it's like, yes, I am hopeful that it is going to continue, and hopefully best case scenario, we can look back on this and say, okay, that was a unnecessary and absolutely insane time, but everybody was able to come back from it in a way that might not be exactly the same, but is positive. So
I think it's gonna be just fine. Tide goes in, tide comes out.
Well, I think that's probably the perfect spot for us to kind of wrap up conversation, because I really do appreciate you taking the time, and to that final point, tide comes in, tide comes out. I know that I want to make sure that you and I have a chance to have these conversations with more frequency, and I'm positive that by the next time we do that, a lot of things will be very different than they are right now. And I'm looking forward to being able to talk about that with you in the future, and not just here, but everywhere. And things are gonna they're gonna get there, and I know that you're gonna be on the next chapter by then, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's very, very kind of you, and grateful to you for everything you've done and all the years of support or whatever, and just general friendship. It's been very cool. That job really afforded me a lot of cool opportunities and meeting a lot of great people in the community. So I'll always be grateful. No regrets. Right.
No regrets. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, we will chat again soon, but Kyle, thank you for coming on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm hoping that we can have more of a fan focus here in the coming months and whatnot, and conversations like this. So like I said, love to have you back soon, and we'll be back soon, and we'll be chatting about something else. But until then, thanks everybody for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. See you at Comic-Con.
Yeah, absolutely. See you then.